Happy Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day. You ever heard anybody say that? Have you ever said it yourself? And I'm not going to be trying to make anybody think they're like some kind of bad person for saying Happy Memorial Day. But really, Memorial Day is all about this. It's about this. It's about remembering the dead that fought and died for our country, and the people who fought and returned home and died for the country. And so Memorial Day, it's not like, Veterans Day, where it's not like the 4th of July. It's a somber day. It's meant to be not necessarily celebrated, but I don't know, how would you say, more of a day of when we take inventory of our sacrifice, what we had to do to be where we are today, in the way of fighting wars and losing other Americans in the field of battle. And really, Memorial Day now, it's just kind of a day where people go and leave the city or go somewhere for a 3-day weekend and go up and get drunk. Quite a few boating accidents, a lot of jet ski accidents, things like that go on Memorial Day. I'm sure of quite a few fights. But see, it's not Rebel Rouser Day, it's Memorial Day. And really, the best way to do Memorial Day, think about it, is come out to a graveyard and help the local veterans organizations put flags in the ground. Or if you have a veteran that's passed, go to their grave, put a flag in their ground, maybe clean it up a bit. And that's really what Memorial Day is really meant to be about. It's about remembrance. I think the Canadians have Remembrance Day. That's kind of like their Memorial Day. And that's really what it's about. It's not about going up to the hills and getting drunk, wrecking a jet ski, or going to a bar and fighting. And really, last thing I'd ever want to do is be out and about on Memorial Day. I remember I used to ride my motorcycle up to the mountains, and I realized how nuts of a prospect that is now, considering the kind of people that are out and about on Memorial Day. But really, Memorial Day is meant to be it's meant to cause reflection. It's meant to cause, like I said, it's more of like, kind of like taking an inventory of what we had to go through to have the nation we have today. And so, like, some people, I remember one time I was working with somebody that kept saying Happy Memorial Day, and I went out in the parking lot and a customer said, Happy Memorial Day. And I said, thank you, sir. Happy Memorial Day to you too. And I nodded my head, and he smiled because he knew I got it. He knew I knew what he was getting at. And especially by calling him sir and thank you, sir. And it was just, I think he was a veteran, but that's what Memorial Day is about. Memorial Day is supposed to be, you go out to a place like this, and you put the flags on the ground. And I remember VFW, we used to put flags on the ground and put crosses on the ground, and it was pretty interesting because when you come out here, I remember there's a grave out here where the guy fought in the Spanish-American War, and then sometimes when you put the crosses in the ground, you'll see a really, really old stone. It'll say, fought in the Great World War, which meant that they probably died in World War I, or maybe died somewhere shortly after World War I, between the onset of World War II, because then there was only one Great World War. There wasn't a World War I or World War II. It was just called the Great World War. And now we know them as World Wars I and II. So that was the old brown boot, generation. And I remember, back in the day, occasionally you'd see an old boy. He'd have his wool on, And he'd have his brown boots on, you know, like on a patriotic holiday. He'd have his brown boots on, and he was an old World War I vet. And I was one time when I was over at King's Table. It was this smorgasbord we used to go to, and I told my dad, "Who is he? What is he? Is he a policeman?" My dad says, "No, he's a World War I veteran." It's just, you think about it, you don't see it no more. They're all gone. They're all gone. They're all dead. I don't know when we lost our, and we're pretty shortly going to lose our last World War II veteran too. But that's what Memorial Day is about. So I'm not sitting there trying to tell anybody, like, you know, that they're bad if they say Happy Memorial Day or have a good Happy Memorial Day. It's really actually meant to go to a grave site or go to a function or go somewhere where people are meant to reflect on the loss of war, reflect on the loss of our men and women, reflect on the loss of the toll that war takes on the world, and realize that, you know, that every body in the grave has a story behind it. Every body in the grave has, you know, a legacy they left. You know, they had aspirations they wanted. They had, families. They had, you know, they've done things to impact people's lives through the years. And to realize, you know, that's the old saying, you know, freedom isn't free. That's what the saying, I think, on the wall says, freedom isn't free. And that's what Memorial Day is meant to do. It's not meant for people to go out and get drunk. It's meant for people to go out and place flowers upon the grave, maybe take care of a grave, maybe go out and it's that one day of the year where a guy, his body's laying out here, you know, just kind of forgotten about through the years. Maybe he was participated in something that's in the history books now, but now all of a sudden, you know, nobody remembers him. And this is kind of the chance where people come out and remember him, remember the sacrifice that he made, place a cross at his grave and place a flag in his grave, look at his name, you know, maybe go ahead and even gussy up the tombstone a bit, and, you know, that's what it is. It's the remembrance. So that's Memorial Day. So that's why I never say Happy Memorial Day, because Memorial Day is not meant to be happy. It's actually meant to be quite the opposite. It's actually meant to be very sad, and it's meant to be very, very sobering, which seems to be quite the opposite of what people do on Memorial Day now. Okay, guys. Well, don't worry about the haters, just like the haters worry about you. Now, I'm not going to hate on you if you say Happy Memorial Day. I'm just saying there's a reason why I don't say Happy Memorial Day, and Memorial Day really is pretty far from being happy. See you on the next one. My father's grave. I told him, you want to visit Daddy? You want to go visit Daddy, huh? You visiting Daddy? He got excited. They probably don't fully understand. Animals probably don't understand what happens to a person. They probably don't fully understand that this is his gravestone. But he was in the Army, and he passed away from COVID. We were actually among the first deaths. Death was the first here in town. Both had at the same time. But yeah, I come out here every so often, stand next to it, think about what's going on.